thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Again, my apologies for being tardy to this conversation, but let me just start with this. As you reflect back on your very busy and certainly memorable visit to New Hampshire, what stands out as the most memorable and your takeaways from this program and from the trip itself?
That could be hard to answer actually, but it's okay. You promised not to give me such difficult questions, Scott.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sorry. So I mean, so let me start from scratch.
It's okay. It's okay.
So you had a chance to meet with a number of different people, visit a lot of places in New Hampshire. You got a chance to experience the New Hampshire presidential primary process. What was your trip like to New Hampshire? What did you think about us?
It was amazing, but what I recall most when I was meeting the Democrat and Republican Joe Alexander and campaigning, the meeting was very impressive to see at the time whether there was like a real dispute between both of the parties, or maybe both of them even could work together, because like it or not, collaboration is very important, right? I mean, it's not only standing out for the importance for each party, but also for the people of New Hampshire. And I really would like to see whether this is a real dispute or not. But actually, they come up with some kind of talks, for example, like their interest for monitoring the use of weapons, if not mistaken. Some of things, and then environment for the future generation of New Hampshire society. Also the transparency of budget. It is very important, and I really guess that both of them were in line in discussing about this, and they really approve that transparency is most important, whether they are coming from Republican or Democrat. Yeah, they don't care about that. Yeah, but to create such good governance is very important. I mean,
that's
that's the
great,
purpose.
and I love that.
That's my summary.
It's a universal.
That's my summary. Yeah.
So
that's my summary.
Did any opinions about New Hampshire or America change once you got here? Was there anything you thought you were going to see or experience and it was entirely different?
Well, usually we got everything from media, right? We usually see everything on television, news. But I decided to be very critical because somehow I really understand that maybe the real situation is not the one that we see on media, right? Because sometimes there must be some kind of exaggerations, or maybe even lies, or maybe hoaxes. But coming to US and then finally visiting New Hampshire, everything changed my mind really. Yeah, because I always reflect that we are all the same. We are humankind, right? We are humankind with our own kindness, with our own good behavior and attitudes. Yeah, and then that's what we are. Yeah. Well, I mean, people always reflect that there's always like good and bad things, and I believe that both of them also happens everywhere. So, but yes, my mind, my opinion changed a lot. I mean, after visiting, especially to New Hampshire, and to
That's
see
great.
your hospitality and these things. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Oh, wonderful. So because you've been through the program and you have worked with Anis very closely, judge the program. How did you enjoy the trip, and what would you say to other people from other countries about encouraging them to explore New Hampshire and explore the World Affairs Council and IVLP with Anis? What would you say?
Well, again, it's very amazing to work with Anis. We also get in touch more often, and then we talk about a lot of issues, and we exchange our issues, the ones that happening in Indonesia, and then that's what's happening in New Hampshire and USA globally. The experience that I've got is that I really understand that the political situation is always a very complex process, right? To be honest, I really don't follow or understand completely about the stages of uh, political process. For example, it's like election, which is taking a lot of cost, a lot of people to vote. Eh? But what I'm concerned about is the youth engagement politically. It's very important because we see that there is an enormous active participation from the youth to be engaged politically, not only as voters, not only as staff to assist the general elections or maybe other elections, but it's very important for them to voice what it is in their mind. That's the most important part because I can see that, um, for example, when I see Joe Alexander and Cam Kinney, they are still young, right? They are still young, and I really believe that a lot of youth also rely on them to voice themselves there. And after meeting the representative of youth legislators and represented by girls, I really believe that they are also processing from early age to know about the real situation of politics in New Hampshire and then finally in USA generally, right? And that kind of experience is supposed to be introduced to our country, really, because what I've learned about is how to introduce the first critical thinking about seeing the political situations everywhere is the most important. You need also to cross-check whether every news, every information about politics is right or wrong, because sometimes it can be hoaxes, it can be exaggerated. People even do not know whether whom they vote can also be responsible for their voices or not. So that's what I try to introduce to youth in my city, in my community.
That's wonderful, Fanny. Well, and I love that there are lessons and wisdom that you can bring back to
Mm,
your home. I also love that you're seeing, because I think it's important for us to hear on this side of the pond, if you will, that we're all alike and that we're all in this together, and that there's a lot of similarities, more things that bring us together than divide us, because that
yeah,
tends to be the big
yeah,
debates in politics. What's different? Why is my opinion better than yours? That kind of thing. And so it's great to hear your perspective on that, the international perspective, if you will. Um, as far as looking at our process itself, especially because we're in the middle of the final run of another election right here in our state.
mm.
What do you think of American democracy and our system, which you got a chance to see up close? How would you grade our system?
Uh, as long as the system uh, connects to how to maximize the voice of all of people, including engaging the minorities for sure, is very important. It's very important because I usually see America as a melting pot, for everyone. I mean, I know that's so cliche, but it really happens, And then I see, and I feel the experience myself when I was there. Um, I feel like being accepted, yeah. And I guess it is one of keys to be standing out politically. How people representatives in USA also see that all of minorities there are a part of citizens of USA, so that their voice can also be represented. That's the most important thing. I mean, the system, any system can be anything, right? I mean, you can create any system as long as it can also care and maintain people's voices is very important. And how finally it can be translated into good governance as well as good public policy, which can represent all of people's need with no exception for sure.
Fanny, how important is it to take the kinds of trips that you did here to the United States and to New Hampshire? How important is it for people from different countries to explore how the rest of the world works, how they behave, how they
Mhm.
run their societies. How important is this exercise?
Well, to be honest, it was such a surprise for me to travel there, because I even do not know who nominated me for sure, even up to now. Yeah? And then it means I also need to prepare a lot of things before going, such as reading from a lot of information about each state that I'm going to visit at the time. Yeah? Uh, and then it's important for me to see from other different perspectives, because like I said to you, I usually see everything about you, your country, from media, from television, from newspaper and things, and all of them could be different after we visit there that actually, right? And then we can also experience daily life with the locals. Yeah? And we can also learn a lot of things. And then it is also such a privilege for me to come into a political lessons with all of you, right? Because it is not something that a lot of people will gain. And to me, all of experience during my stay in USA, particularly in New Hampshire, give me a lot of benefits uh, to be transferred to my community and to my other youth. That's very important.
Fanny, I thank you so much for this time. And I want to bring Anise and Danielle back into the conversation in case I missed something, but you are great. Thank you for your eloquence and kindness and your observations. And you had me at the very first answer when you were essentially saying, listen, we're all the same. We're in this together. It's so reinforcing and energizing to hear that kind of sentiment. And so I appreciate you and thank you for carving some time out of your evening to meet with us.
I hope my response could answer your question.
They've been wonderful. Yes, you did a great job. Anise, did I miss anything? I didn't know if I needed to really jump into anything specific. I really just enjoyed his observations and his takeaways from his travels here.
No, I think the best part of the interactions with Fanny for me is just being able to see the realization and the connection and connecting the dots and finding value out of IVLP and continue to find value,
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. We're working right now with the chair of the advisory council and trying to arrange another virtual meeting with individuals who are in politics in Indonesia and more of our youth. Again, it's those conversations, and like Fanny said, it really is a main focus on our youth of understanding government, of understanding politics, understanding political discourse and the way it should be handled without violence and conversations. It's okay to have differences of opinions and it's okay to be different, but it's not okay not to learn about each other and not be open-minded. You don't have to believe it, you just need to listen to it.
Yeah, that's well said, Anise. And Fanny, from the New Hampshire perspective, in less than a week, we have another election here. And I'm not sure if the people that you met with are going to still be in office after the election cycle. In fact, there's one young man who I think Anise had been in contact with previous visits who already lost an earlier round of elections. And but at the same time, at one of our highest profile elections for US Congress, there's a young lady who's only 25 years old. And if she wins in New Hampshire next week, she will be the youngest member of the United States Congress in, I think, potentially in history, because we have age restrictions on our federal offices. And she just turned 25 over the summer. So she just became eligible to run for federal office like 3 weeks before the first election round. So she would literally be the youngest congressman in American history. So we'll see what happens, but there may be a unique youth movement happening in New Hampshire in a week. So we'll see.
Well, you never know. As they say, Scott, New Hampshire is the first of many with such a large legislation.
Yeah.
If you don't know, we have the largest House of Representatives in the US.
Yep.
And we have the fourth largest House of Legislators in the English-speaking world. We elect more women to office because of this. We elect more youth to office. So yeah, I'm looking, and Fanny had an opportunity to meet with a lot of individuals, and even General Don Bullock, who is right up there with Maggie Hassan, one of the big seats. So he had an
That's
opportunity
right.
a few years ago to meet
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, he's the polls are showing it's very, very close, a neck and neck race. So Fanny, thank you. I just appreciate you, and Anise and Danielle, thank you for, as always, serving up these wonderful voices to help talk about this program and all of its benefits. It's great.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Scott. Thanks again, Fanny.
welcome.
And we always love continued these communications.
Absolutely. Fanny, it's a pleasure to meet you. And ladies, I'll see you very soon.
Yes.
Pleasure to
All
meet
right.
you too, Scott. Thank you very
Thank you.
much, really.
Thank you, Fanny.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank you,
talk soon.
Daniel,
Bye, you
for
guys.
for facilitating me. Thank you for this.
Oh, my
Anis,
pleasure.
yeah,
My
Anis,
pleasure.